And it looks like we are live. Welcome back to Aussies taking over the NBA. Monday night, the 10th of May. The playoffs, well, the play-ins, I should say, are on our doorstep. Are you fired up, man? Are you fired up?
I'm a little bit fired up. It's been a long time coming. I mean, it's just kind of been. I'm a Philly fan, obviously, so it's been a bit of a just downhill trek to playing in the playoffs. You know, it's all going to happen. They're qualified. They looks like if they win the next game, they're going to qualify in top seed.
Really?
Um, yeah, so they're Brooklyn have lost the last four.
I think they beat, didn't they beat someone pretty big? I don't know why I'm completely blanking on that. But, they beat the Nuggets the other day. I watched some of that game. I think it was on Sunday. I think it was yesterday. It's late. It's late at the moment. But yeah, no, the Nets were on a slide. Harden's been out. They said Harden was going to be back this week, or I think they said last week it was going to be a week before last week. It's going to be last week, and he hasn't been back.
I don't think he's going to be back. Apparently, that hamstring is just not behaving. It's not recovering. Um, that would be a big blow. But I mean, there's no point rushing him back for the last what? Oh, okay, 6 days. We've
Mm.
got 6 days left. That is crazy. 6 days to the play-ins, and now we've got to talk about this play-in tournament. Um,
Well,
you're a
actually,
fan,
sorry, just before that, Philly have ripped off 8 straight.
yeah.
I did not know that. They're 8-2 in their last 10, so of course they're definitely going to finish in the first seed.
Yes, they've ripped off. They've got a pretty. They had the easiest run
Mm.
post. They did all the hard lifting early on, so
Yeah,
had a pretty easy run down the stretch, which is nice.
yeah. Sorry
None of
about
the
that. You
blow.
may proceed now with what you were going to say.
Yeah, they haven't had too many tough games. I don't think Ben Simmons has been playing more than 25 minutes a night. I think Joel Embiid's been playing at 29 minutes. So man, they're going to be pretty well rested coming into this playoffs. But it's going to be an interesting thing. These playing tournaments, as I was coming back to, what the hell is this? Just a cash grab for more games, or like what is it?
Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Yeah,
Shortened season, have these play-ins. So many people like listening to a lot of the coverage. They're just so convinced. This is great. I was just like, is it? Like, are you guys just saying that? Like, I think some people are super happy. Like, it's hard to watch a team go all season, right? Especially if you're like a Lakers fan. And
yeah,
then you just like, we're seven. Like, this sucks. Like, I don't want to have to go into this scenario where, we should be the seventh seed and we're going to get knocked out. This sucks. Like, Celtics and Hornets and Heat kind of have been in those scenarios this season. But at the same time, like, for the teams, for example, like a Memphis Grizzlies or the Pacers or the Wizards, like how and what a tear the Wizards have been on. Like it must be a great feeling. Like you got to be looking at that, going, yes, like there's a chance to be an upset here, to then just go in and be an eighth seed and get knocked out anyway. So
that's going to be interesting because I think the ninth and tenth seeds play the seventh and eighth seeds. So if you're like sitting in that ninth and tenth, man, you got to play a shit ton of games just before you even get to the playoffs.
mm.
It's nuts. It's it's crazy.
Yeah,
But
I don't like it cosmically. I don't like it, but more games is great. More games, sweet. I
I
think
don't know.
like
I
I'm,
think
I'm
this.
less, but I'm less excited about like more games because of the playoffs, the play-ins. How good's that? Like I'm more just like, yeah, more games. I'll watch more games. It's sweet. Like I'm like that, but I don't want to be like more games, great because of the play-ins. Like I want to separate my yeah, that's great from it being the play-ins. I'm like, get rid of this play-ins thing as soon as possible. Like as soon as fans are back in arenas, we're back to 8 seeds qualify. That's it. The end.
Yeah, that pretty much has to be done. I don't think this tournament's going to survive past this. I don't think the NBPA would allow an 82 game season then play-ins.
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
like it. I
not
guess
a fan.
last in the bubble they lost those games. They lost those they lost games in the regular season because of the bubble scenario. And then this season, it's a 72 game season, so they lost a little bit of money. The whole is it greed really is the right word? The whole greed aspect. I
It's
still look at that and I'm just like, man, can't you afford to just take like 8 games off, like 10 games off? For the good of like
yeah. I
people
think it's
and the
well. I
the
think
league
it's
itself.
the collective bargaining agreement.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, it's tied up into
That's
people's pays. So yeah.
that's it. With that China, with Morigate and China, and the dropping off of some revenue from China, and yeah, that's just that's just the revenue hole that they've got to make up with the bubble costing as much as it did, and I mean, I think this has been the worst televised year on record, but I think that's because everyone's just watching bloody cryptocurrency go up and down. That's pretty much it. No one's interested in sport anymore. I think once they get fans back into arenas next season, it will feel like an actual like season, because it's been good watching the last 30 games. I think post All-Star, where you get fans. There's a couple there. There's like 20 screaming fans. You're like, woo, you can actually hear some ambience in the arenas. But before that, it was just kind of like, why is this even happening? Like, there's just no one watching this. There's no one watching this on TV. Like, the fans in the arenas make the sport, especially for home games. It doesn't really seem like there was much home and away games. And then with the whole just Brooklyn Nets just buying every old star that there is possibly to buy.
And Blake Griffin looking good. Like, what the hell? Where did this come from?
Yeah, man, he was tanking, full tanking in Detroit. He just wanted out, man. He just wanted out. He wanted to buy out. He wanted to get out of that place, which is kind of just a bit sad. But I mean, it was inevitable. The Detroit rebuild has been the most disgusting, disgraceful act of managing a team or a franchise I've ever seen in basketball.
So glad Phil's not on that team anymore, man.
He's not on any team. That's the kind of bad thing.
Nah, but hey, look, you take the good with the bad. I'm just glad he's not on that Detroit team, so I have to watch that dross.
Mason Plumlee, 15 mil a season to just look like a friggin' Goomba. Like, he's just...
Yeah, but yeah, he was on such a good wicket there in that Denver team, being back up to Jokic. Any player is going to look great. Doesn't matter how bad you are, they're going to look great being back up to Jokic.
Anyway, that's the Detroit fiasco over. There's what teams have been eliminated? I think Detroit's been eliminated.
Yep. Cleveland and the Magic.
And the Magic is another one that's just like, what is this franchise even about?
And that was a half year tank job too.
Yeah, it was. It was just blow it up half year. I mean, they were pretty unlucky. They lost Marco Fultz early. I didn't get a lot out of it. They're gonna have to get some picks. I mean, I don't see much depth in that team coming in the next couple of seasons. They're going to be pretty terrible all the way through. One thing I haven't seen a lot of is this draft class. Have you seen much of this draft class in terms of hype or, the Zion hype or the RJ hype or the LaMelo hype or the, there's just been no hype in this draft class.
No, I've only sort of seen or heard what people are saying. That it's a good class. Okay. Suggs and I can't think of who the other. Yeah, Jalen Suggs, and there was another guy who's like super high as well. It's a good guards draft, and then to sneak in Josh Giddey. Let's get his stock to rise for sure.
Aussie.
Yeah. But yeah, no, not like last year. I feel like all of that's kind of been pushed to the side. Like, let's just focus on the NBA and like try and make this as much of a focal point, because there's revenues to be remade, like the revenues to be recovered here, type of thing going on.
Yeah, I'd agree with that sentiment.
And
Aussies.
Just so in the West, the Rockets have been eliminated. So I guess we could start with the Rockets. Obviously, Dante Exum still hasn't played a game, still isn't back.
Yeah, he's out for the season with that calf. I mean. I think we're going to do a Toronto and Houston wrap later in the week. Talk about what Bainesy and Exum are really going to do. These are two guys that are on the cusp of exiting the league. Really, I think Bainesy has a team to go to. I just don't think that the Toronto setup was what was right and from the beginning. But Dante Exum, who's only 26, which is just ridiculous because he's been in the league for so long. Hasn't really been in the league, you know what I mean? This guy's just got paid on the back of being Dante Exum, and I'm worried that that hopefully he's going to be part of this Houston rebuild, but I don't know if that's going to be the case.
Just looking recent games. January. Okay, so the dates are like American dates. I'm going 1st of the 5th, like 5th of the 1st. What the hell? What? But yeah, no, that's January. So yeah, he hasn't been back since January 2021.
Sorry, man. This is May.
Yeah, it's a real worry, man. Played 1 minute in that game. Yeah, it just sucks. Because this Houston team, I think, as bad as it is, for a reason. Obviously, they're definitely tanking. In the next couple of years, I can see them kind of, if they can kind of get off that John Wall contract and the Eric Gordon, sulking his way through games, just being like, why am I the only one left here, man? This sucks, If you can kind of get through, they can get through that. At the other side, I think they've got, it's a Cleveland level team where even though it's crap, it's fun. Like Cleveland, I can watch a Cleveland game. They're not terrible, or they're terrible, but they're not like just an awful to watch team.
Yeah, I think they've got some good young talent in the Rockets team. It's just a question: is it elite level talent? No.
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 But it's fun to watch. I like JT. Christian Wood.
JT. I like Kevin Porter Jr., man. He's got some swag about him. Hit some shots. Scored a 50 the other week for a second round, traded for a second round pick to Cleveland. It's not a bad pickup by Houston.
Just absolute gunners, eh? And that's, I guess, I don't have a synergy with those teams. Like, I don't watch those teams and go, you know what I love? Just like 5 guys just competing for the ball just to gun it. How great is that to watch? Like, that's absolutely the worst type of basketball for me to watch. They did beat the Bucks though a couple of weeks ago. It was just like, what? And that was when Kevin Porter dropped 50. And then like a point guard in the tier of like John Wall. He's a weird point guard. You know what I mean? Like he's not a floor general. He's not a playmaker. He's not good enough to be an out and out scorer. Like he's kind of just like a Westbrookian like. He's just a guy you don't want on your team.
He's a discount Russell Westbrook, really. I think the league's just passed him. He's had 2 years out and it's just like, yeah, you're kind of irrelevant, man. Come play in Australia. That'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be... Man, how sick would that be if he came down under and played in the NBL? That'd be awesome.
That's going to happen.
Nah, it's not going to happen. Can anyone offer him, like all the franchises combined, if you've quadrupled their earnings, they don't earn the same amount as he does.
I think he's got to take the Dwight Howard approach. If you want to prolong your career... take a step back and go, yep, my game isn't what it once was. How do I extend it? Will I become the best backup point guard in the league? And I think you can do that on team, just hand the reins off and, play good 16 to 20 minutes a night as a backup point guard on a busy night and 12 minutes on a non-busy night. I think there's definitely teams out there. I mean, as a vet min, I definitely see a lot of teams picking up John Wall as that kind of backup role. He almost kind of needs to, just do the Carmelo, do the Dwight, take your ego off and like if you want to extend yourself in this league, play a role and be part of a team. You may even get a championships out of that. Seems to be the way of the world these days. These old stars just like, yeah, I'll take vet min on that team. I'll pay 12 minutes a night to get my ring that I never could.
Yeah, it's hard. Like some players are happy to do that, and I think it's an attitude thing. Like I wouldn't look at John Wall and go, you know what you need to do? You need to go and be backup man. Because I look at him as a personality and I'm just like, that guy's never going to accept that he's not good enough to play in the NBA anymore. And that kind of is like a double-edged sword. Like it's their strength and it's their downfall at the same time. It's what limits a career in that sense. And he's scoring 20 points a game this season, 6 assists on 42% 3-point shooting. Like it's not a horrible season, really, to be honest. No. But it's just on a team that isn't winning games and is struggling. And you kind of look at that rebuild and just go like, what was that all about? Like, really? Yeah. Like the Harden sort of went out the airlock and then the whole inside of the ship just gutted, turned inside out and like just obliterated and blew away. And it's like, that was a bit rough.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a bit of a revolving door over the next couple of years.
They're going to have to get off that Wall contract, $41 million at the moment. Jeez.
He's got one more season?
2, I think.
Jesus.
Let me spot track that. But I think it might even be 3.
No, I don't think it's 3.
Nah, maybe not 3. Get a little ambitious there.
Yeah, I think it's 2.
John Wall, spot track. That I was calling Sport Track for a long time. John Wall. Currently 2 years left on his deal, $44 million next year, and guaranteed $47 million in 22-23. Yikes! You have to get off that deal. Even Houston, right, to go through that financial trouble with COVID, obviously their restaurateur owner to then like we'll make a moves to try and sort the franchise out, and then you just get lumped with this John Wall contract. Like, wow, man, brutal.
Yeah, you can't offload that contract. You kind of got to go, well, we're going to tank for the next 2 years. He's going to kind of, I don't think they play him. I think they pay him 47 million in that year and just be like, you're not playing. If you want to go and win a title, go take a buyout, 20 mil. We'll take that 27 off our cap. It's like Blake Griffin. Take the buyout. If you want to go play somewhere else.
You can't even buy that out, man.
You can buy it out in the last year. I don't think you can buy it out next year.
Nah, but you can't buy that out, man. It's too much.
If it comes to agreement, you're going to tank. You don't want him on the team because you're going to play young guys. Pay him 30 million to go elsewhere.
I guess it's guaranteed money, so
guaranteed money. Yeah, because he's guaranteed, right? He's opt-in. You pay him 30. You take a $17 million discount, and he goes and plays for another team.
That's crazy. It's just crazy. I think
there's some bad. I mean, do you know Joakim Noah's still getting paid?
Yeah, it's crazy as well. Wasn't he on a 10-day on the Clippers last year in the bubble?
Yeah, but he's still getting paid by the Knicks.
He's like a cross between Steven Adams and a barbarian.
Paul Pierce is still getting. No, Paul Pierce.
Nah.
Kevin Garnett, one of the two, still getting paid. I think.
No way.
Yeah, man. You look at the ridiculous paid contracts out there. There's some really weird ones just still getting paid.
Garnett has been out of the league for like 6 years.
Maybe it was last year it finished.
2017 free agent. Yeah, Kevin Garnett. 2016.
Someone's getting fucking paid out. I know Chris Bosh got paid out for years after the blood clots.
Yeah, well, that's kind of a different scenario. I'm like, yeah, good. I'm glad he got paid out, man, because his career just got cut down from underneath him with that health scare. You know what I mean?
So we go on to some Aussies.
Yeah, Aussies. Well, we were on an Aussie team, but yeah, Aussies now. Who should we start with? What do you reckon?
I reckon Ingles, because the Jazz, to me, for my mind, are the team to beat. I'm going to say this right now. The Jazz are the team to beat, and it's through the resurgence of Jordan Clarkson and Georges Niang. I think Georges Niang had a great second half of the season. Dude can shoot.
Yeah, he can. He's a solid all-around player. Like, he's not great on offense. He can shoot it. He's kind of a guy where you put in scenarios where it's just like, oh, you forgot about him, and he knocked it down, rather than, these situations where he's got to play on both ends of the floor, impacting the game. But Joe Ingles, just quietly, man, 6th man of the year?
Yeah, I think it goes to Jordan Clarkson.
Yeah, but is his case stronger than Clarkson?
I think it most improved. Like, what else do you want from a guy that's shooting 50% from three on good volume? I think he's done something pretty magical at that Jazz team this year, and consistently played well over the last few seasons. If Philly don't win, I want the Jazz to win, 100%.
Yeah, I think it'll be good for basketball as well, and good to have another Aussie getting into the finals, but they've still got to do it, man. They've got to climb that mountain.
Yeah,
I'm still looking at that team going, I got to see you do it. It's a bit like the Bucks, the same thing. Got to see you do it.
They're going to potentially play the Lakers or the Trailblazers. Man, they're going to have a hard 8th seed to play against. It's not going to be a walk in the park like the East, I think.
Well, currently they're 50-18, so the Phoenix Suns, I think they've lost one, but they're 6-4 in their last 10, and the Jazz are 7-3. I can see a scenario where the Phoenix Suns are just kind of like, you know what, we're happy to stay out of the 1-8. You have your 1-8, especially with a team like the Lakers or the Warriors, man, sort of hanging around in that area. You know what I mean? Like, would you, if you were the Suns, would you really want to play the Warriors in a 1-8 scenario?
No.
You're kind of looking at that going, oh, man, Chris Paul versus Curry. Even though that Warriors team is absolute dog turd, really, without Curry and Draymond Green. You still, if you're the Suns, you're inexperienced. I think the Jazz, if it was a 1-8, the Jazz are just like, nah, we'll mop the floor with you guys. Gobert's going to monster anyone on that team. Draymond's just going to break down, basically having to defend pretty much every big they throw at him because they got no one else. But, man, if you're the Phoenix Suns, a little bit of inexperience, first round, first game, first finals, first playoffs kind of jitters, a bit of a like, ooh, you don't want to slip up on this one, boys. Like,
Pretty good. Pretty good.
But that's then if the Warriors actually make the play-in. I think if it's the Grizzlies, what do you reckon in a Jazz scenario?
Jazz wiped the floor with the
Yeah,
Grizzlies.
I think the Jazz probably beat anyone that isn't the Lakers in that.
Well, for that 10 spot, it's kind of looking like it's either going to be the Spurs, which have tanked of late, the Pelicans, which know Zion indefinitely, so that's
Yeah,
unlikely.
that's pointless. Don't even make the just X out, hit the ejector seat, tank.
Yeah. And then obviously the Kings, which have something to play for, but this is an interesting rumor that they might look at moving Marvin Bagley to the Warriors for cheap. Might not be a bad pickup.
Poor Bagley, man. After the season that Wiseman's just had, where it's basically just like, we're not giving you any rope at all. If you're shit, you're getting yanked off the floor. To then have Bagley join that team, it's just like, ooh, that's a bad scenario for Bagley to go into.
He's a power forward.
Yeah, but you're not playing power forward with Draymond Green on that team.
Yeah, that's true.
And especially like one Toscano Anderson, the madman. But yeah, no, sure, why not? Another live body. It's kind of like the Willie Cauley-Stein experiment, where like 3 games in, everyone was just like, yeah, no, get the fucking guy out of here. He's terrible. And just quietly, let's pivot quickly to the Mavericks. 8-2, like what a run! Since the All-Star break, I think they're on some crazy like 30-15
in the corner, but defensively, he's kind of got that Matisse Thybulle, lockdown, 3-and-D kind of wing defensive player mentality, and that's what this team needs, because defensively they're fucking terrible. They're so bad, and Luka's he got ejected today for hitting Colin Sexton in the nuts.
So soft, man. I saw that and I just went, are we really ejecting guys for that on a replay scenario? Like I can see that where, snap judgment, ejected. Like I can see that, and you're like, oh, whoa, we see the replay. The ref might have made a bungle that call, but to go to the fucking replay center and see that and just be like, we have to get rid of guys out of our game because of that weak ass shit. Like fuck off out of here. That was rubbish.
The flagrant ones that they're handing out this year are just pathetic.
Yeah, it's
like
sad,
guy goes
man.
to the rim, guy tries to defend, guy jumps into elbow, heavy contact, flagrant one. You're just like, what the fuck?
I've seen a few where dudes are getting trucked like badly, and they're just like, nah, play on, that's fine. And you're just like, what? Like really? With some of the soft shit that's been called this year, really? Like that's not a fucking flagrant? But some players too, like Boogie. It's like they're like eagle eyes on fucking Boogie. It's like he just coughs near someone. It's like, let's review that. That might have been flagrant. And you're like, and then some other players can just do anything. And it's like, nah, you're a scrub. We're not even going to bother going to the replay on that.
Pretty sure Steph Curry could just knee someone in the nuts and they wouldn't even. Yeah. They wouldn't go to the.
I'm pretty sure anyone could just knee Steph Curry in the nuts and they just be like, what are you talking about? It's just hard basketball, Steph. Just eat it up, mate. And he still dropped 15 threes and hit like 8 of them too. But yeah, this Dallas team, man, I think we're gearing up for just like something to get excited about a little bit.
Nah, man, exit first round.
Just straight into a brick wall.
Yeah, mate.
No, I kind of, I'm like, man, like you don't want to catch them in a series, like just like like you weren't prepared for this series, catching this team.
They're winning at the moment because they're playing heavier basketball with a bit more defense. And I think teams down the stretch of this season, they've had a pretty easy run, but teams down the stretch of the season will be like, well, what's the point of playing hard energy? Where I think Dallas have really put the foot to the accelerator. We're like, we need to climb the ladder and win some games here to get out of these play-ins because this is not where we want to be against the Jazz. But yeah, they're going to. Rick Carlisle is not a postseason coach. Let's be real.
Rick Carlisle, he has won a championship, so.
Yeah, he won a championship with the greatest 7-foot power forward in the history of the game.
Fuck, that was. And if you shout out to anyone out there listening or watching, man, go back and look at those Dirk highlights. That's one thing I regularly go back and watch, man. That's that finals against the Heat. Fuck, it was just unbelievable. Just everything moves. Like to watch the game as it is today, and what the type of post offense that he was, deploying back then was just out of this world.
He would still be elite. Like you look at some of you could look at some of those players, 10, 15 years ago. Prime Dirk would still be top 5, top 10 player in the league today. Just his ability to shoot over dudes.
It'd be totally different league still too. Like, we've seen the game evolve away from You don't necessarily need to be heavy and powerful inside. You just need to be big and strong but quick at the same time. So I like, even looking at this around this league, thinking about it, I don't think you could find anyone that could guard a prime Dirk. I think he'd still be one of the best players in the league.
Yeah, maybe a Ben Simmons or a Kawhi Leonard.
Simmons,
Maybe. Yeah, defensive
I'd
player
like
of
to
the year.
see. I would have liked to have seen it. That'd be sick.
Yeah, that would have been crazy. Oh, look, that Philly team. Like, we can pivot to just quickly to Philly's defense here.
Yeah, sorry, just before. So I'm just looking at this Dallas schedule from who they played. They lost against the Spurs, the 76ers, beat the Grizzlies, lost against the Knicks and Kings, beat the Pistons, the Lakers twice, lost to the Kings. They beat the Warriors, the Pistons, the Wizards, lost to the Kings, and then they've beaten the Heats, Nets, and the Cavs twice. So bit of a mixed bag on that shit. I'm still like a dark horse. Like, come playoffs times, I might take a look at this team, have a little watch. Nah. All right, I will be the yin to your yang.
Fall apart. No
Yin.
heartlage. No heartlage.
All right, let's pivot to the Philly 76ers.
Mate, the twin pillars of defense, Matisse Thybulle and Ben Simmons.
So
Matisse
good to
Thybulle
watch.
could
Far
easily
out.
be defensive player of the year. The guy plays no offense, but can just lock down games. He had 5 steals in 18 minutes the other day. Just like, and I'm not even shooting the ball. I'm just going to take the ball off everyone.
Guy's crazy. Like, awareness, smarts. It's not even like dangerous defense either. It's just smarts. It's crazy.
Fighting around screens, block shots, timing, pinching lanes, just so active on defense. And, you've seen Philly down the end of games where it's been close. And in the last 5 minutes, teams just haven't been able to score. You've got Embiid on the floor, who is arguably one of the better defensive centers in the league. You've got Ben Simmons, who is the best defender in the league. Arguably, he is going to win Defensive Player of the Year if he, has a good ending to the season.
If there's any justice, he definitely should be winning Defensive Player of the Year.
And then you've got Matisse Thybulle, who is the best defensive guard. He's the best defensive guard in the league. He's in top 6 now for steals and, top 20 for blocks as a guard.
Yeah, it's
Playing
crazy.
18 minutes a night, not even a starter, just like off the bench guard. You're just like, this is insane. It's fun to watch. Look, I think Philly they should get to the conference finals this year. It'll just be whether, a full strength Brooklyn team can, Harden comes back and, they play a bit harder and, get chalky in a 7-game series. But, they can score. There's nothing denying that the Nets can score, but their defense is putrid.
Who's that?
The Nets.
The Nets, sorry. Yeah. I thought you were still talking about Philly. I was like, what?
No. Philly, defensively.
The Nets, yeah.
Their defense is putrid. And Kevin Durant is a fantastic scorer, but he looks a step slower on defense.
Yeah, man. I've noticed that too. Like, a lot of the praise that he's getting, like, it's great, and he's definitely one of the most elite scorers. I've noticed, man, his explosiveness on the pull-up is not there. And that's why when Giannis blocked him the other day, like, you could see he doesn't have, like, he used to, like, raise all the way up, man, and shoot those jumpers, like, a good, I reckon, another 6 inches explosive off the floor. I just don't think with those injuries he's able to do that. And he almost looks like, I don't want to say, like, he doesn't want to do it. He almost plays like he knows it's not quite there. So he's taken different shots. Like, he's taken more fades, more leaners, and different stuff like that. I think it's kind of changed the way he's playing the game.
I think it has changed the way, but just I've seen him get rinsed on defense a couple of times. When you look at him playing for the Warriors and OKC, he's just like, oh, he would have made that block, but he's not as quick as he once was. And I think that's really where Brooklyn. I mean, Kyrie Irving doesn't play a lick of defense whatsoever. James Harden can turn up, but typically doesn't. And then you've got Blake Griffin, who is not really a defensive player in his older career. Jeff Green's not bad as a screen setter, but that team just doesn't scream like, oh, there's a whole bunch of guys that, if the scoring dries up for whatever reason, and on that team it never should, that's the reason. But if it does, then it's not defense that's going to win this game. So I think that's really what it's going to be. It's going to be a Nets Philly final, and it'll be a good one to watch.
I think the Nets, like, you look at DeAndre Jordan and you just sort of think,
He's been completely rinsed out of the team, man. It's just
yeah,
like,
like you're just like, what is going on there? Like, what is going on? Like, he was one of the elite, like the Clippers, he was like one of the elite shot blockers, defensive centers, like a guy who was, at Gobert levels basically. To now where you're just like, what the fucking, this doesn't even make sense. Like, how are you not like one of the best shot blockers, defensive centers in the league? That doesn't make any sense.
He's just been like, yeah, and Steve Nash doesn't want him. The only reason he was even on that team is because Durant and Kyrie said you must get him.
Yeah, and that's all right. Like, if you looked at his Clippers form and you transported from then and to now, you would still go, I want a guy like that on my team. But then when you watch it, you're just like, why doesn't this translate and make sense? Like, he's 7'1" and still one of the best, athletic players in the league. But you're just like, how are you not like just a monster on defense? It doesn't make any sense.
Just not enough game time, not enough timing anymore.
And this, I think you're right about the defense on this Nets team. Like, it's not rooted in defense. Their out is essentially going to be, we'll just outscore teams.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it won't or can't be done or it won't happen, but that's a huge gamble, man.
That's also what Houston's out was, and they never could do it. So it's fun.
Yeah, but Houston was a weird team. Houston was just like, let's get rid of all our big players.
It's three guys on that team that need the ball in their hands to score. I mean, admittedly, Harden has facilitated a lot better since coming to the Nets and does not need as much, But there's Kyrie needs the ball in his hands. Durant needs the ball in his hands. So it's just kind of like, well, you just keep going down the floor, and then, you lock up Kyrie, you lock up Durant, you lock up Harden. I don't know. It'll be good. It'll be a good series, no matter what. That's the series you want to see in the Eastern Conference Final. I mean, Milwaukee, in my mind, are the dark horse. Like they've come home strong with the end of the season, but I think they're on 43 wins or something. I think
The Bucks?
Yeah, the Bucks.
The Bucks are currently 43-24, a game back from the Nets.
Could be an interesting thing.
Still the Bucks, man. They're still a bit.
I think the Drew Holiday experiment's finally starting to work. I think they just won. The kind of Dante DiVincenzo is not really great. Bryn Forbes hasn't had a great season, and they're just like one shooting guard away from, making it. I think
there's a lot of Giannis has got to come to the table type of thing. You know what I mean? And I'm still like, I like watching him play, but I'm still just a bit like, there are things teams can do for you, or to you rather, that I don't know if you got answers for, or I still have to sit and watch it and go, I've got to see you beat these things to then go, oh yeah, okay, you did it. Yeah, no, fair enough. Fair play. He's one of the best players in the league, but I'm still not sitting there like putting money down and going, yep, he can beat, the trap, the Chubb sort of, the wall up defense, stuff like that. There's things that teams can throw at him. I've got the playoff picture up here. At the moment, the Eastern Conference, if it's a Philly Charlotte as a standing sit on that side of the bracket, and then Knicks Atlanta Hawks. So the Philly would have to play either the Knicks or the Hawks if they beat Charlotte. And then on the other side, Water Murderers Row, man, the Bucks Miami and Brooklyn Boston. Damn, imagine Brooklyn and the Bucks playing in that second round. And then, like, do you really want to come up against Miami?
Yeah, that is a bit of a murderous row.
Man, that's brutal.
That is brutal.
Crazy. And then looking over at the West, as it currently sits, the Utah Jazz and the Warriors 1-8. Then the Nuggets and Dallas 4-5. Nuggets Dallas is a good series. I think the Nuggets probably win that series. And then Clippers Portland, Phoenix Lakers. If you're the Phoenix Suns, man, you didn't like. I would be trying to finish third. Fully, like, can we just play Portland, please? Just let us play Portland or Dallas, please. You know what I mean? You don't want to be playing the Warriors, the Lakers. I just feel like you don't want to be playing those two, man. If you're a first team, if you're first finals in 10 years, it kind of has banana skin written all over it to me.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
Any other Aussies we need to talk about?
No, we'll come back later in the week and we'll start wrapping up teams that
Little short one, little turbo. Just looking through the list of teams. Mavericks were covered. Spurs. Oh man, even if Spurs make the play-ins, he's still just kind of like, I'm not expecting you to win games.
Yeah, that's it. They don't have a center. Let's be real.
All right, as always, you can like and subscribe. We are live currently on YouTube, so subscribe if you're watching along, or you can listen to us in audio format on SoundCloud, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Podcast Addict.